Hello and welcome to the Auto Collection. Today, we're going to talk about my 2004 Bentley Arnage T24 Mulliner. Tally-o, chaps! Righto, let's talk Arnage T24 Mulliner. In 2003, Bentley returned to Le Mans and won the 24 Hours of Le Mans for the first time since 1930. So, in order to celebrate this win, Bentley commissioned its in-house coach builder, Mulliner, to create 24 T24s, a celebration of Bentley's win with their top-of-the-line Arnage. Features of the Arnage T24 Mulliner over regular cars are specific Union Jack flags on the quarter panels, and shark fin vents are the distinctive call sign of this car. In addition, they also had 5-spoke polished wheels and carbon fiber inserts on the dash and door cards instead of the traditional turned aluminum. So now let's turn to this specific T24 Mulliner. Ordered brand new in 2004 with a tungsten paint job and black powder-coated wheels from the factory. This car has a black interior and many wonderful options which we will explore soon. I'm the 4th owner of this car. Once upon a time, believe it or not, it was used as a daily driver. However, I have chosen to use it and reserve it for special occasions. This car absolutely is wonderful to drive, to sit in, and, well, let's just talk more about it, shall we? Let's talk about the key first. As you can see here, it's a lovely chrome with green leather key. On the front side is the Bentley logo, and then of course you've got the lock and unlock buttons with the wonderful, oh wait, that's not so wonderful. Trademark of these keys is the key does not always want to snap into place. But it is weighty, feels good in my hand, and I can assure you that it is quite luxurious compared to many other key fobs. Right, let's take a quick tour of the car's exterior. So right here we have the Bentley logo. You will notice that the B is black. Did you know there are 3 different colors that Bentley puts on its logo? The black one indicates sport. The red version indicates luxury, and the green is somewhere in between. One of the other features of the T24 Mulliner are these color-keyed headlight and marker light surrounds. Typically in your Arnage T's and Arnage R's, these surrounds would be chrome, but as you see here, they are color-keyed to match the rest of the paint. Let's go over and look at the shark fin and Union Jack. And here we are, the key indicators of the T24 Mulliner. As you see, the Union Jack has the number 24 in the middle, representing the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And under here are the shark fin vents. This was a common feature post 2004 T24, but 2003 and earlier, this is the only way to quickly visually tell a T24 Mulliner from a standard Arnage. Let's move on to the boot of the car. One of the other key features of the T24 Mulliner is this custom 4-tip exhaust right here. I do apologize for the dirt on the tips. The car has 62,000 miles on it. All right, so let's talk about the boot. This wonderful logo right here contains a very weighty piece of metal that reveals the key slot to unlock the car. Let's look inside, shall we? So as you see in here, the boot of the car with one of the 2 Bentley umbrellas. Unfortunately, this car only came with one. I do need to acquire a second one. You'll notice that Bentley does put their umbrellas in the rear of the car, where Rolls-Royce puts their umbrellas in the doors. Big significant difference there. Nice thing about this trunk is it has soft close to it, so you don't need to slam it. It will close on its own. Bentley was smart enough to know that their cars won't be driven all the time, so they have included chargers with their cars that plug in right here and screw in to maintain charge. Also, you will see back here a manual release for the petrol door. Now, let's go to the front of the car so we can look at that glorious 6 3/4 liter twin turbo engine. And now let's lift the bonnet of this beast to reveal the glorious 6 3/4 liter twin turbo engine put together by S. Pritchard. Thank you, good sir or madam, whoever you may be, for assembling this 451 horsepower, 645 pound-foot of torque engine. Now, this car weighs 5,700 pounds, but you wouldn't know it due to the massive amount of torque supplied at just 1,700 RPM. It's glorious. Speaking of glorious, let's go into the interior and bask in all its glory. Let's get in the car, shall we? First, we open the bank vault-like door, which is surprisingly nimble to maneuver, but once shut, it shuts with an authoritative thud. As we see here, as earlier described, we have the carbon fiber insert on piano black, which was another staple of the T24 Mulliner package. Right down here, you will notice a remote, an Alpine remote. Now, why would one need a remote in a car? No, there's no television in this car, no telly. This is the factory stock remote for this car, for the stereo. Yes, that's right. The stereo came with also, indeed, a wonderful sat-nav system that unfortunately no longer works, but 'tis to be expected of a 17-year-old car. All right, now also here on the door, you will notice 3 buttons, which of course are for your garage door and home security system as needed. So as we move along here, you will notice 2 speakers in the door, and you might be asking yourself, where's the stereo? Well, behind this plate right here is your wonderful Alpine stereo head. Unfortunately, this car doesn't like to use the stereo too often. The aerial is broken and the stereo head likes to heat up rather quickly, so I have to turn it off on a regular basis. I don't get to enjoy my tunes. But let's talk about the rest of this. Everything in here you see is either leather wrapped, metal, wood, or carbon fiber. These vents, you can hear, are metal, as indeed the organ pulls that control the flow of air. Switches are metal. Now, if I am completely correct, we do have a couple of pieces of plastic, but it is life, I suppose. Right here, gas flap door, trunk boot, and of course this switch controls the position of the steering wheel, up or down. There's no telescoping, unfortunately, just up and down. Light switches up here, trip buttons, so on and so forth. All right, let's go to the other side so you can see more of the middle of the gauges and so on, and maybe we'll give it a start. All right, let's talk the rest of this interior. So first thing is the climate control system, straight from BMW. In fact, this is not the only non-Bentley made part. The transmission is a General Motors 4L80E, 4-speed overdrive transmission, among some other various sensors along the way. Let's talk about this beautiful piano black wood and the aluminum polished and chrome switches and buttons. It is absolutely a wonderfully tactile experience in here. Everything smells scrumptious. The leather, the wood, and of course the metal, the carpet. It all creates this intoxicating smell that once you breathe it in, it really cannot be described, and you just crave it more and more. But enough of that. Let's continue talking, shall we? Up here we've got buttons for the sat-nav screen that no longer works, for the lights, and for the sunroof. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that the light right here for the sun visor stopped working. Essentially everything up here stopped working for some reason. I don't know why, but I plan to take it to a specialist soon to get it all fixed. This headliner is made from a perforated leather. It's absolutely gorgeous to touch, and these Connolly hides, I cannot even begin to describe the feeling of sitting in them or touching them. It is glorious. The car features 4 different memory positions for you or your driver or somebody else. This console here, you pull this back to reveal, once upon a time, there was a cell phone in here. Unfortunately, it's long gone. One of the previous owners must have taken it out. I don't have it anymore, and of course, they are no longer available, nor would I want to have a Bentley cell phone in my car. Essentially, a car phone, for those of you who remember. Now, let's talk about cup holders. This car has 2 of them up here, and they are underneath the console right here. But they're essentially useless because now your armrest is up. And strangely, they also included the 6-disc CD changer in here as well. So it's rather awkward positioning to have this. Now on the front of the console here, you'll notice that there are 3 buttons for the cell phone. Unfortunately, one of them has fallen off. None of them work anymore. But again, this is a 17-year-old car. I would love to say that it was maintained in perfect condition, but again, driven as a daily for quite some time. Let's talk about the gauges here. So we have the fuel, the time, the oil pressure, voltage, and of course your temperature. These all are very nicely laid out, and I can tell you that when the lights are on in the evening, all of the gauges glow in red. It is an absolutely inspiring look. And you'll notice on here the plaque that says T24, one of 24 cars celebrating the 2003 Bentley win at Le Mans. Unfortunately, the wood recently cracked. I will repair it at some point, but that is to be a later date. Your chariot awaits. Welcome to the rear seat, where there is copious amounts of footroom, legroom, and all the finest luxuries there are to have back here. Actually, I'm kidding, there really aren't all that much. What you have here, of course, is your tray tables. These are carbon fiber inserted just like the rest of the car, where you may have your Grey Poupon, in case you are so inclined to do so. You do have smaller vents that you can control the temperature with. Your organ pulls, tiny cup holders that of course don't work, and a cigarette lighter. Now, one of the nice features of this car is you can move your seats front to back in a reclining position. Now, I do know that heated rear seats were an option because I've seen other T24 Mullerners with this option. Unfortunately, mine does not come with this, but you can relax in this warm, supple leather that really, you don't need these seat heaters. So, you also have rear console to adjust your lights, and the nice little C-pillar pillows, which some options would have a mirror, but in this car they were optioned as pillows. So as your chauffeur takes you down the road, you may rest your head against the C-pillar without discomfort. So, here it is, the Bentley Arnage T24 Mulliner 2004, inspired by Bentley's 2003 win at Le Mans, the first time since 1930. To give the driving impressions, of course, Once again, I've invited my friend Scott from Shutter Fuel to give his opinions.
Hello.
Good day, sir.
Good day, sir.
Now we will take a right proper spin in this wonderful British luxury marque. So, Scott, give us the first driving impressions.
It actually feels a little loose. Suspension feels a little loose. Typical Bentley fashion. The check engine light is on. The smell of this car is scrumptious.
Yes, quite intoxicating.
Yes, it is. It just smells like wood. That's not because two males are sitting in the car. The carbon fiber is beautiful in this car. It does have some power. It has a nice old school V8 throaty sound to the exhaust. It's got some power. Power is adequate.
But of course.
All the buttons at your fingertips. Every single option you can imagine. It's nice. Brakes are a little soft. Steering is nice. And it's like sitting in a couch. A 500 horsepower couch. As pretentious as this sounds, I actually drove a Bentley Azure last week, taking pictures of it. So, and both cars are very similar, but I would say this one is definitely a little bit more on the sporty side than the luxury side. Handle's about the same. Maybe this one's a little bit better, although you can hear the looseness of the suspension. Throttle response is great. I love the sound of it. All the gauges seem to be working okay. The shifter is a little odd because you have to pull up and back, and it feels very loose when you shift or pull the shifter. All the buttons are brushed aluminum. It's very luxurious. I mean, it's a Bentley. It's nice.
Right, Scott, tell us about the handling.
I mean, for a Bentley and a luxury car, and as heavy as this is, it handles quite well. I mean, while the car sounds a little loose, suspension-wise, it's not. It takes the turns very well. It feels good. Good steering feel. The smell of the wood, though, it's like once you're in this car, how could you ever drive anything else? It's comfortable. It's got cool carbon fiber as well as the wood. Brakes are a little squishy. You can feel the power under the hood, and it just has that lovely, throaty, old school American V8 sound.
Indeed it does. Tell us, how do you feel driving the car?
It's a different feeling. I don't know what the correct term would be, but you do feel like you've got some wealth behind you. The amount of gauges and wood and carbon fiber in this thing is amazing, and it just has that feeling of old school charm, like what you would expect out of an old school Bentley, but it's newer. Handles well, sounds good. It's almost like if you took an old Bentley and LS swapped it, because that's the sound I'm hearing, even though it's not LS swapped yet. But overall, I mean, it's super comfy too. I mean, the seats are very supportive. I mean, there's options for everything. Everything's at your fingertips. It smells wonderful. Have I said it smells wonderful?
I think once or twice.
Yes. Yeah, it's very luxurious.
Indeed.
Not quite Rolls-Royce, but it's pretty damn close. You're sitting on a leather couch surrounded by wood and carbon fiber. So, I mean, that's not that bad. Not bad at all. Overall, it's a good driving car. It's nice. It smells British. It smells old school, wealthy. But these are nice cars. Once you get into them, you get it. You get why people buy these cars. And these cars, you don't need a chauffeur. You need to drive these yourself.
And there you have it, the Bentley Arnage T24 Mulliner. I will be making more videos with this car, things I like, things I don't like, things that are wrong with it, things that need to be fixed, so on and so forth. But please, let me know in the comments below what you would like to see about this car. I want to thank my good friend Scott from Shutter Fuel for driving the car, giving you his first impressions. I hope you've learned something from it. And please, 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 feel free to let me know what you think about this video so I can improve them for the future. Ta-ta, everyone.